Welcome back. Today, we examine something simple: control. Not abstract control, the everyday kind. Wanting people to do things the way you want them done. Reply when you expect. Act how you prefer. Follow the standard you believe is correct. That feels like strength. It feels decisive. It feels authoritative. But before we accept that assumption, here's the question guiding this lesson. Is control strength or a signal of insecurity? Most people believe control keeps life stable. If you don't control, things fall apart. If you don't insist, standards drop. If you don't correct, mistakes multiply. That sounds reasonable. And yet, in the same situation, one person tightens control, another does not. Same environment, same uncertainty, different reaction. If control were pure strength, responses would look consistent, but they don't. So the explanation must go deeper. Control rises when reality does not match expectation. Someone doesn't respond quickly. A colleague handles a task differently. A partner makes a decision without checking. A child ignores an instruction. The event itself is rarely dramatic, but it is not what was expected, and that small gap creates tension. That is where control begins to form. Now, the important shift. Control does not begin with the other person's behavior. It begins with the internal reaction to it. Expectation feels threatened. Position feels unstable. Certainty feels lost. The reaction may be subtle, but the discomfort is real. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The stronger the insecurity, the stronger the urge to control. Control becomes the attempt to calm that instability, not to lead, not to guide, but to restore internal certainty. You've heard this before. Why didn't you tell me first? That's not how we agreed. Do it the right way. It sounds structured. It sounds responsible. But look closely. Two people can experience the same unexpected decision. One shrugs, the other tightens. Same behavior, different internal stability. One remains steady, the other feels unsettled, and the unsettled one reaches for control. This pattern is not limited to close relationships. A colleague interrupts to reassert authority. A parent micromanages small details. A friend insists on choosing every plan. These actions appear strong on the surface, but when someone feels internally secure, small differences do not feel threatening. When someone feels uncertain, even small deviations feel risky, and control becomes the reflex. Here is the inversion most people miss. Control looks powerful, but control is pressure, and pressure appears when something feels insecure. The person who pushes hardest for their way is often the one who feels the most unstable internally. Not incapable, not incompetent, but uncertain, and that uncertainty leaks. The moment someone tries to control more tightly, their need becomes visible. And once need becomes visible, influence quietly decreases, because the person who needs the outcome more is no longer the steady one in the interaction. That is the inversion. The stronger the control, the clearer the insecurity. Pause on that. If control were strength, it would create influence, but often it does the opposite. So return to the essential question. Is control strength or a signal of insecurity? People behave differently. Plans shift, responses vary. Those events are neutral, but reactions are not. When control appears, it often signals that something inside feels unstable. And once instability becomes visible, position shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. The person who tries hardest to control may be revealing that they need the interaction more than they want to admit. Here is your question to reflect on and discuss below. Have you seen two people respond differently to the same uncertainty? One becoming controlling, the other remaining steady? What do you think explains that difference? You can draw from work, films, public figures, books, or simple observation. There is no right or wrong answer, because control does not create power. It reveals where power already feels unstable. And if control exposes insecurity, then emotional reaction exposes position even more clearly. That is where we continue next. Thank you for your attention and discipline in examining this.